Welcome to the Praise Cafe Show. I'm your host, Robert Brock, and I'm here with one of Charlotte's wonderful preachers in the city, Bishop Keith Felton. Welcome, sir.
Nice to be here. It's good to be here.
All right.
Good to be
Now,
here.
you are the pastor of what church?
Trinity Christian Center. We're located at 7935 North Tryon Street, just below the University Hospital.
Okay. So, speaking of your church, you want to invite anybody to your church?
Yes, I would like to invite the city and surrounding areas. If you're in the surrounding areas, we would love to worship with you at Trinity Christian Center. Listen, just come as you are. It's a place of love, a place of acceptance, and most of all, a place that you experience the true embracing power of Jesus Christ. So we would like to see your face in the place, you know.
All right. Great. And is it one service?
One service right now. Some periodically we have two services, but right now we're just practicing and moving on one service a week. I mean, you don't want to church people out, you know.
Got it. Okay, great, great. Now, is the church fairly new?
The church, we've been in existence for around about 4 years now.
Okay.
We was nomadic at times, moving from place to place, but God blessed us 3 years ago to give us stability, and from there we've grown. You know, we've grown.
Wow.
I mean, very fast. You know?
Awesome. Okay. So now I know you are a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
You are a radio host.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We have a broadcast on Praise 100.9 and 92.7. I guess some of your listeners, some of the viewers have probably heard it or listened to the broadcast on a Saturday from 7:30 to 8 o'clock, and also Sunday from 10 to 10:30. This is the guy that you hear hollering and screaming.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And also add author to that resume.
Yes, I have a book I written a year and a half ago called Please Follow These Instructions. And this book is very, very informative concerning the infrastructure of us as men and women of God, not just men and women of God, but people in general, you know. It has helped a lot of people.
Wow. Know? Please follow these instructions.
Please follow these instructions.
Now, how did you come up with that title?
Well, you know, that title came to me because when I grew up, you know, we grew up in the 80s, you know. And when we was growing up, my father then would always get the VCRs, but they would never set they would never set the time. Every day it'd be 12 o'clock. He'd be like, hey, you know, it can't be 12 o'clock because the cartoons are on. Right. So God gave me that revelation how sometimes we in the body of Christ, we read the Bible, but we don't understand that the Bible is an instruction manual. Mm-hmm. And it's not so much as telling you everything to do, is you follow these instructions, and then God is going to make your path straight. So I think we got to look at it from the perspective as if we don't follow these instructions, our clocks will always be on 12 o'clock.
Wow, great.
And, you know, so that's how it came into play.
Great. You know? Now, where can we find your
book?
book?
Currently right now it's on Amazon, and if you call or get on the website, we can get it to you. Mm-hmm. One of the things I found out when we were marketing it, it was more or less me telling people personally about it. I guess my first book was me cutting my teeth, you know. Mm-hmm. So now my second book, I'll be a little bit more savvy in the marketing and getting it out. You know?
Right. Please follow my instructions. Get one quick takeaway from that book.
One quick takeaway. I talk about David. How his life changes from the pit, from the pasture to the palace. Mm-hmm. And I share in the book is God is always going to link you up with a Jonathan. Mm-hmm. That when promotion comes, promotion always takes you in a place that you're not familiar with. Wow. See, when David killed Goliath, David was instantly transported from a pasture taking care of sheep into a palace where he had nothing to do. They didn't look like sheep, you know. Yeah. But God always put somebody in your life to help navigate you through the different levels. Because everybody in the church says, I want to go to the next level. But when you get to the next level, God is going to have somebody there to navigate you because you don't know what you're doing. Right. So one of the excerpts say, please follow these instructions. Don't deny the person who's trying to develop you on the next level. Because you're going to need a hand to walk you through the palace, you know. Wow. Because if they say the bathroom is this way, unless Jonathan showed him, he wouldn't know where to go.
Right.
You know?
Great. Wow, something as simple as that.
Yeah, something so simple, you know.
Wow, okay. Now, speaking of church, pastoring a church and dealing with church, what do you think is the church's greatest challenge today?
The church's greatest challenge today is we're embarrassed to embrace certain people. We're embarrassed to embrace things that affect us, that might have to come out of our comfort zone. Anything that a person can't change, they always shies away from it. But God has used us to embrace people, not to embarrass people. And I guess the greatest challenge in the church is sometimes we literally embarrass people before we embrace them, and if we can't fix them, we'll frustrate their process, and we do what a service of running them away instead of bringing them in. You know, so I think we should be in a position that if you don't know what to say, just love them.
Right. So would that be like catch the fish before you try to clean it?
Yeah, more than catch the fish, it's more like you trying to get into school with the fish. You know,
got it.
When people come to us in the body of Christ, first and foremost, we have to embrace. You don't know what a person's been through. You don't know what a person is going through right now. Loving them while they're in it is more important than trying to tell them what to do to get out of it. You know, and it takes a lot of effort to love a man or woman. And this day and time, we're dealing with people with financial difficulties, domestic violence, and sometimes when you're going through things like that, you can't just get out of it. But now we're looking at a situation. The church has to learn how to love people while they're in it, because in the body of Christ, if you don't look right, nobody wants to touch you.
Okay.
We would drop off in the zone with that, because if you don't look like you will make me look good, then I don't want to spend time helping you getting you where I'm at. So anything that we can embrace, we think it embarrasses us, and the church, we have to stop that. You know?
But then there was the scripture that says those that are sick don't need a physician.
Don't need a physician. And those who are sick shouldn't keep people sick.
Right. Okay. Now, speaking of that, your overall mission of your ministry.
My overall mission for Trinity is to give a place for people that are hurting.
Got it.
One of the things that I endeavor to do is Trinity Christian Center is a place for hurting people. It's a place where people can get healed. And 95%, and that's a big number, 95% of the church, inside the church, is hurt.
Right.
The reason why we can't be effectively outside the church, because the church itself is hemorrhaging from the inside, you know. So we got to stop the bleeding before we can continue to bind it in the building. Everybody wants to build, but everybody keep bleeding, you know. So what Trinity is, this is love you just like you are, to stop you from bleeding, and then after you stop you from bleeding, we can build you.
Oh, wow.
Because everybody's trying to build bleeding people, and the residents are mess everywhere. You know?
Okay, wow. Now, you said something kind of funny to me earlier in regards to the church, in regards to hurt.
Okay.
Good people.
Yeah.
Good people leave the church.
Yeah.
And hurting good people get hurt. Bad people leave.
Yeah, good people get hurt, bad people leave. Meaning is, I've been preaching for 20-some years, and sometimes it's the good people that get hurt, and the bad people just leave. And you're like, God, why did they just leave? And so now we're left with a whole melting pot of good people that want to come to church, but they've been hurt so bad in church. And now, instead of us preaching the love of Christ, we got to convince them that we won't hurt them.
Right. Wow. So, speaking of that, if you were to give any words of encouragement to somebody that's watching the show that may have been hurt in church, past or present, and what would you say to them? I
would say this right here. If you've been hurt in church, if you've just been hurt in life, you can't allow what hurt you hinder what God is doing in your life. Because eventually you're going to have somebody being led by the Spirit to handle you. And sometimes being hurt will muffle you. I would encourage them to just express it. Don't let what happened hinder what God is getting ready to do next. Because your next dependent upon your now. If you don't get over it, there will be no next. And many people say, I want what God is going to do for me next. I want God, but you have to get over the hurt now in order to propel you to the next.
Wow, great. Good advice. Wow, thank you. Now, anybody that wants to either attend your church, find something about you, your book or whatever. Is there a website or anything?
Yeah, you can go to trinitychristiancenter.net, and that'll give you everything you need to know about me, my wife, my ministry, what we're trying to do in the city of Charlotte, and ultimately nationally. It'll give you insight on what we're trying to do in the community, because I feel like, many preachers want to go nationally, but you got to be known in your neighborhood, And me and you, we were country boys from North Carolina, We didn't go to the supermarket when we didn't have enough sugar. We just went to our neighbor. So what we're trying to do is to bring it back to where it's supposed to be. When I was growing up, they had friends and family. I don't see they do that a lot in Charlotte. do it in a different way.
Mhm.
But I think the community of the church has been lost with the construction of the church.
Got it. Oh, wow.
So I think we've missed a lot of people trying to build megaplexes and not understanding the community. It takes a village.
Okay.
It takes a village to create a city.
Right. Wow.
And it starts with one.
Well, sir, you have given us an earful and some very good information. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm glad to
And
be here.
yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Mhm.
And I will let you close us out. What encouraging words you want to say to
I
our
want to
viewers?
encourage someone right now who's probably going through some hell and high water, probably going through the most horrific moments of your life. This is not the end. This is what God has to have to happen. Sometimes we have to have things to initiate. And this is just your initiation problem. Listen, you would thank God you would thank God. And when you look back at your life, you say, I'm glad that this happened. Because if it didn't happen, this would never happen. You could not have Calvary without Judas selling Jesus out. So, thank God for your Judas. Because your Judas is going to take you to your Calvary. And your Calvary is going to expose you to every genre of man and woman on the face of this planet. You just watch what I tell you.
Wow.
And be blessed. Amen.
All right. Thank you.